StarCraft fans? This is Falcon Paladin coming to you with yet another daily Legacy of the Void upload. This is a game between Snute and uThermal on Frost. In the top right side of the map, we have the blue Terran player. It is uThermal. And then in the bottom left side of the map, we have the red Zerg player. It is Snute. This is from IEM Shanghai. Not sure what number it is, but again, this is from a professional tournament. Apparently it was played on the 6th anniversary of StarCraft 2 because these are cakes instead of minerals. I really like the fact that the flames actually bounce when they're moving. Blizzard in your animation department, I love you guys so very, very much. Alright, so a ZVT for you guys here. Have we had one of these in a while? I don't know. I do not remember, but we'll see how uThermal does here against Snute, one of the better Zerg players, Zerg foreigners in the entire world. uThermal is no slouch himself. We've seen him on the channel for over a year now. Definitely been around the block, has practiced countless and countless hours to get his Terran down. Meanwhile, what we've got here is uThermal making himself a barracks, looking all the world like it's going to be a Reaper expand. Again, it's a 4-player map. It's hard to get the Reaper out to exactly where your Zerg opponent is in time. I mean, but the rally point implies he's going to do it. He's going to send the Reaper out and hope he gets lucky because he didn't actually SCV scout at all. And that's actually been something that's been debated fairly heavily in the comment section of my videos is it worth it to worker scout? And Stefano, I know, said that it's not really worth it. At the higher levels, right, he feels like he can react to whatever happens here without worker scouting. Not that he never scouts at all, but just the worker scout in and of itself. But I feel like at the lower levels, platinum, diamond, gold, silver, a worker scout can really save you. You can tell what's going to happen. You can see what's coming from your opponent. Those times you see those 3 proxy racks, you'll be so glad you worker scouted instead of waiting for those first-lings to come out as Zerg. So we'll see how that works out. This is going to be a Reaper Rasputin. Now, what that means is that he has been, people have been trying to kill him for years. They keep throwing him into vats of acid. They keep shooting him in the face. They keep rolling over his legs with steamrollers. It doesn't matter. Reaper Rasputin always comes back. And this time he comes back as a Reaper for the Terran army. He's going to try to kill himself some Zerg. Try to go ahead and get himself some goodwill with the Terran army. Maybe they'll let him stick around instead of summarily executing him. On the other hand, if the Zerg kill him, then maybe he will be given an eternal rest. Finally, from all of his days. But not looking good. Not looking good. The Queens are going to have popped out by the time Reaper Rasputin shows up. Really, I think the most that Reaper Rasputin can hope for here is to get a nice scout off because, again, this Queen, super mad. Has some good range, too. There's an inject. Oh, Ling's on top of the platform. Nicely done. Yeah, Reaper Rasputin does get, I mean, not really any of a scout off at all. Can't really get inside the main base with these Lings ready to catch him on the creep. Speed is almost complete here, too. So, unfortunately for Reaper Rasputin, not going to work out for him in the long run. Income tab is 27 to 24. Zerg player is up. No sign of a third base yet out of our Zerg, which would probably be here. Sometimes we see it here as well, but whatever Snute feels like doing. Checking for that third, does not see it. uThermal's pretty happy about that as his second base is up and running. Meanwhile, Starport on the way after that factory, so it is the actually two barracks factory Starport command center build for uThermal. Has both those gases coming very nicely. Snute has a single extractor, so it wants to go to a lair here at some point, as we can see, getting that gas number up, but at the same time wants to get a good number of workers. Is up 36 to 28 harvesters. Beautiful. Beautiful from Snute. These Lings do have speed. They're going to try to do something here, and they might actually be able to force a cancel on something. There are 3 Marines. I don't know if they can deal with that many Lings. The Lings feel like that they can. The Lings feel like, oh, more reinforcements come down that ramp. Definitely they can. So uThermal is holding this pretty well just with these Marines. The Lings decide to head on back home. Just put some pressure up on the Terran player, and that makes them feel safe to expand into that base. Seeing the Marine count says, okay, they're not going to be aggressive anytime soon, at least until the medevacs show up. Reaper Rasputin, get that scout off. Get it. Still alive. Still alive. 8 hit points on that dude. 8 is not a big number, but it is bigger than 0, that's for sure. Checking for a third base here, does not see one. Snute pretty happy about that. And just Lings, man. Snute's trying to do this thing with speedlings and not much else. Trying to catch the Reaper, juking it, staying inside the cover. Can they get there? Shots off, wait until the Lings come up, and then, oh, shoot. Look out. Is there anywhere KDA charge trying to keep it alive? No, Reaper Rasputin falls. He falls and explodes into several pieces. Not a good look. Double drop here from uThermal. I think these Lings might have seen that. Some drop lord action. Right here, though, from Snute, trying to get inside of this main base and kill him some delicious, delicious SCVs holding cake. Drop definitely gets spotted by that. Wow, that Overlord positioning was beautiful. Queens, Lings are ready to go, but the drop does not seem to want to land at the third base. Maybe they can see these things. Gonna boost on into the natural. There is a Spore Crawler on the way, but is it trying to drop? It's time to drop! Immediate evacuation of the drones. The Ling's gonna try to get right on here. The Queen trying to stab away at those medevacs. Be very careful, Queen. Super duper careful here. Ling's getting a nice round, killing a few of the Marines, but uThermal coming bouncing back on up. Is he going to take out this hatchery? Decides to bypass that. Not going to work out. Did these Lings actually get in here? They did. Crap. Hang on, hang on. That must have happened at the exact same time. Okay, so yes, the Lings do get in. And what do they manage to get here? I don't see any SCV kills, actually. Nope. 0 SCV kills. Wow, that drop was not super effective at all. Meanwhile, these guys do boost on out. Okay, so in the end, 1 drone has been killed, and 0 SCVs have been killed. So neither team or neither player doing very well at shutting down the economy of their opponent, which I guess is okay for Snute. He's fine with not losing much of anything through the first 5 minutes. That helps him get his economy up and running, helps him get to where he wants to get on the macro side of things, and then he can go ahead and choose tech choices depending on what he wants to do because he has so many options. Plus 1 ground carapace, plus 1 missile attack coming up at the same time. They are trying to kill this Overlord, and they're going to be able to get it. They get it. Supply blocking Snute, actually. 3 Overlords just about to pop, though. There we go. Supply block is pretty darn temporary. Well, actually, it's currently 82 out of 82, so that is a supply block. Is what it is. Roachwarren coming up. A lair on the way for Snute. Income tab 42 to 52. uThermal kicking ahead in that worker count. Still doesn't have a third. Is planning on one here with his command center. More and more barracks on the way. Tanks mixed into. Wonderful idea to get those tanks. And try to knock down these rocks and open up an additional path. I guess just a wider area for him to run through. I don't know. I don't see any Banelings, which is... I worry about that for Snute. No Banes with a very, very marine heavy composition here. Is that +1 carapace finished? Yes, it has. Okay, that's good. That's good for these Queens. That's good for these Lings. And there we go. The transfuse is keeping the Queens alive here. Lings on top of everything. Taking out a lot of... taking out both of the medevacs, and now the tanks are dead, and now the Marines are completely gone. What a strong hold by Snute. Absolutely brilliant. Creep spread continuing for these Queens. As long as they're here, might as well do it. Another attempt to drop here from uThermal. Can the Lings spot that one too? I don't think they did. They might have seen it there. Might have seen it there. Still no third for uThermal. This is not looking good. This is not looking good for our Terran player. Queens marching on back down to spread more creep out in this direction, which I'm a huge fan of, and possibly waiting for this drop too. Oh boy, if these Queens can get that with that +1 air attack. Drop trying to get up here. The creep is already spreading on top though. I think Snute sees this. I really think it does as these Queens are coming down to try to deal with this. Yep, small group of Lings here. A couple Queens over here trying to stab things on out. Can they get it? Lings right on top of those Marines, forcing a pickup and a retreat. Queens really want to kill these medevacs. That +1 attack is going to be so useful in this situation. The Queens are ready though. Losing 1 medevac. The other one is still alive. It is full of Marines. Third base is landing for uThermal very nicely there. Infestation pit on the way for Snute. Glio reconstitution for the Roaches and 9 Roaches in production. uThermal, meanwhile, more Marines. Was he getting more tanks as well? Let's take a look here. He has 3. He's got 3 total tanks. Army supply 55 to 45 and 70 to 66 workers. uThermal's worker count is actually a thing of beauty right now. Being aggressive and getting that much economy is pretty darn impressive indeed. Spore Crawler there. This base is going to pop in just a second. Creep tumors attempting to be planted. Seems a little bit unnecessary as the hatchery's right here, but hey, the more creep tumors, the happier. Lings are running around trying to find stuff, trying to deal with armies before they get too big. Tank fire. Whew, tank fire off that tank. And again, is that enough to one shot here? 35 damage. Wait. That's in, yeah, that is 35 damage versus Lings. And Lings have 35 hit points, but that +1 ground carapace, +2 ground carapace means they should survive a hit from a tank as long as they're at full health. Which I think maybe the 1 kill that the tank got was on a weakened Ling, which would make a lot of sense. Another attempt to drop here from uThermal. It's just there's so much creep. This does provide vision for the Zerg player. Another attempt to drop on over here, getting shooed away by Queens and Lings and Roaches. What is the endgame plan for Snute? He's done so well with this Queen Roach Ling stuff. Forcing uThermal back time and time again. Ling's up here. Defending yet another drop. Just beautiful, beautiful stuff. Is it going to be Ultras? Is it going to be Broodlords? Is it going to be just pretty much Roach Ling Infestor? There's a Hive on the way. So either it's going to be upgrades or it's going to be some type of tier 3 tech out of Snute here. More and more tanks, +2 infantry weapons, +2 infantry armor on the way for uThermal. And supply depot wall here, making sure no counterattacks from Lings can get through there very easily. At the very least, it's just these queens, man. These queens are the bane of these medevacs. There are 6 of them in the air right now. Marines coming through, killing more and more of these creep tumors. And Infestor, Ravagers mixed in here too. That is not good. That is not great for uThermal. Ling's here just saying, why don't you unload? There's nothing to unload. I'm not sure that they know that. Infestor could catch it. There's the catch, and there's the corrosive bile. Is it in time? It does. The fungal bile takes down that medevac. Medevac count is now at 7. Big old army here for uThermal, though. +2/+2, not quite finished yet, but pretty strong and a lot of tanks. No upgrades on them. Don't usually see Terran players get upgrades on their tanks. Hive about to complete. Tunneling Claws on the way, and Burrow for Snute. It's not ready yet. He's not going to have any of that tech ready for this incoming attack from uThermal. But Creep Tumors did manage to finish there, which is good. That's going to help Snute just a little bit. And does he go for it is the question. All the Creep Tumors, do they die? All the Creep Tumors die that were just landed, so never mind. All right, so Infestors, I think get some nice fungal growths off, some fungal bile. Might be nice here. Pretty good splits from uThermal on these battle lines. Trying to sneak on out with just a small hit squad in case they end up dead. It doesn't really matter too much. Pulling back to the safety of the tanks. Going after drones here too, and just going for it. But look at what Snute has. Wow, coming right on in. Fungals on top of the medevacs, killing them with the corrosive bile combination. Fungal on the tanks too. Can he do this thing? I don't know. The tank count looked a little bit too high. Yes, it looks massively too high here. A lot of stuff dying for Snute. 14 workers killed over at this base just now. And uThermal's up 162 to 167 total supply. More and more roaches on the way. 46 roaches coming up. Holy shamoly. Snute, bam. Back in the game here. Roaches popping right on out. They do have +2/+2. Trying to win this thing just with Roach is going to be difficult, as again the tank count is so stinking high. But 46 roaches is a lot of roaches. Full retreat from uThermal. Crushing through that was Snute. That remax was huge for him. 143 to 125 total supply. uThermal has expanded while he was attacking, as a good Terran player does. +3/+3 on the way for the Terran player. And Snute's getting more and more Infestors and more Ravagers. I don't know if he has enough to really threaten that 4th base from uThermal, especially if it is a planetary fortress, but I think he's going to try it, sending a Burrow Roach hit squad out somewhere. Are there any missile turrets around? Not really. Not really. Drop heading on out. Does get scouted by that Roach hit squad. Heading on down is Snute, trying to intercept it based on what path it's taking here. The roaches are going to unburrow right here, go after these SCVs using their melee attack animation because they're so darn close to them. And I'm not sure these Marines know what's going on. This one does. Oh, free tank. Free tank. Nope, not a free tank. Not a free tank. Burrow, run. Splitting it on up. Is there a scan available? I don't know. Big attack on up here too from Snute. Corrosive Bile's landing, taking out that medevac. And almost one of the Ravagers too. Roaches coming on in. That planetary fortress again, super threatening. A drop here from uThermal, going to threaten this 3rd base of Snute. No static defense here whatsoever. Oh boy, I don't know. Roaches are still doing some work up there. Drop coming along on this way too. These guys are going to try to take down this 3rd base. It's Queens and it's Roaches trying to defend against this thing. Again, really getting the medevac is the idea here. Poor Marines left behind and stranded, and they almost survive, but they don't. These guys too trying to kill stuff, not really working out for them too well. Income tab is 62 to 66 total harvesters. Spore Crawler gets some shots off. Whoa! Come back here, mouse. More Spore Crawler shotting. I'm going to get that medevac. If uThermal's not careful, just going to straight lose that thing. And no, doesn't lose it. Good positioning by uThermal. Roaches trying to kill as much as they can. Ravagers coming in too, and yes, goodbye. Goodbye, medevac. Medevac count is at 7. Again, Terran players, I think, want it to be higher than that. It's just he's lost so many. He's lost so many medevacs. Alright, so what are we looking at right now? Army supply is 138 to 113 total supply. Snute is up. Worker supply, uThermal is currently up. Resources lost, fairly even, 13,000 and 12,000. Terran player is in the lead here. I just don't know that this Roach Hydra, or this Roach Ravager thing is going to work for much longer. Infestors are here, which is nice. But you really want some Ultras, you really want some Broodlords, some Mutas, some something to mix in here. Dropping here once again. Queen really wants that medevac, does manage to get it. Roach is clearing out the Marine, but did they kill a Queen there? I think they might have. Coming from all sides, Corrosive Biles are landing, killing a couple of the medevacs here, sweeping along. From the bottom side too are all of these Ravagers, but that's a lot of +3/+3 Marauder and Marine here. A lot of them, killing more and more Creep Tumors. That's a lot of dead Creep Tumor. uThermal wins that engagement, but again, Snute, if he can keep uThermal out here, that's what he wants to do. He wants to keep the Terran player away from his bases. He wants to keep him in the middle of the map. uThermal is expanding once again here, and Snute hasn't expanded in a while. Kind of worried about that, to be honest. Queens with +2/+2/+2, not really a match for this many Marines and Marauders. If we're going to be honest with ourselves here, a Fungal does catch a small group of Marauders. Again, not being able to kite is kind of a big deal for those guys. Their ability to run away is kind of what they want to do here. Burrow Roach is trying to get underneath these tanks. Is that what he's doing here? I think that is right on top of the tanks. Splash damage, friendly fire splash damage, causing huge problems, but it's not quite enough. It is not enough to actually kill them. Corrosive Biles do land, killing a bunch of those units, but the concave from uThermal is insane. Corrosive Biles landing there once again. It is 152 to 122 total supply. uThermal coming down, killing Infestors. Dodging Corrosive Biles with great ability. uThermal is up heavy right now with this Marine Marauder tank medevac composition. He has 6 medevacs. Keeps losing them, but keeps making them at the same time. Making Vikings right now. I'm not sure if he thinks there's Broodlords on the way or what, but there is definitely not Broodlords on the way, as there's not even a Spire on the field right now. Alright, Snute, what you got for us here? How are you going to make this thing work? Queen's trying to stab away at the Vikings. Again, that base up and running for uThermal is such a big deal. Snute, expand here, or something. Another hit squad from uThermal coming right on in. And I just don't know there's anything to stop this from happening. Roaches, Ravagers, again, the tank count is just a little bit too much. +1 attack on these guys, 55 damage versus armored targets. Hatchery, gonna explode. Roach here too. And yes, gets the hatchery. All these guys are gonna die, but they took down a hatch, and that's what their mission was. Snute is down, 51 to 66. Total harvesters. He has lost 28 workers. uThermal has only lost 4 to this point in time. He needs something to deal with these tanks. And I don't know that Roach is going to be the way to do it here. Again, he's trying to be sneaky with the Burrow Roach, but the scans that uThermal has available are just insane. He has how many orbital commands right now? 3 of them, so that's pretty much continuous scans. If you let it build up just a little bit. Trying to sneak it around. Roach is coming in once again. Sneaking on in and coming right on top of these tanks. Can they get it? Coming from all sides. Infestors a little bit late to the party here. I'm not sure how necessary they are, though. Corrosive Bile land and get rid of those Vikings. What an amazing fungal bile there. But that is it. A GG from Snute. Snute is defeated and uThermal is victorious. Wow. What a masterful play there by uThermal. I thought for sure he was in trouble and he couldn't get that third really established. Waited a little bit too long there. Stuck on 2 bases for what I thought was too long. Snute handled those early attacks so well, but in the end, uThermal's tank positioning was just too good. He had 11 tanks at the end of the game with that +1 attack, and Snute just kept going for Roach Ravager. I think a lot of dead Roaches happened. A lot of Roaches died there. Yeah, 28,000 to 20,000. It was even about 3 or 4 minutes ago. The last few minutes there, the tanks just chewed up the Roaches and the Ravagers of Snute's army, and uThermal takes the win. So masterful play by him. And that's it from me. So this has been Falcon Paladin with yet another daily Legacy of the Void upload. Go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter and Facebook, both at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.